It's November 12th, just hanging out here in the patch with the Grin Reaper. The Grin Reaper is bound to put a grin on your face, whether you're growing 200-pound pumpkins or if you're growing 2,000-pound pumpkins. We'll put a grin on your face when you set that big pumpkin out in your front yard. They're fun to grow. You can win prize money, state fairs, contests, all over. Join us. This applies to all vegetables, cucumbers, tomatoes. Doesn't matter what you're growing, these principles still apply. If you want to have a better looking garden, better looking harvest, higher yields, better looking fruit, then join us today. Please do. All right, part one video, I talked about growing on a hill. Well, after taking a trip out to Lady's farm, good viewer, Tammy, we talked about Kentucky. She's from Kentucky, her family's years in Kentucky, and she reminded me about the low spots in Kentucky at the bottom of a mountain, maybe a low spot by a river where you're talking mineral water. Mineral water is in the soil, and disease is not prevalent. They have a lot of beautiful, gorgeous gardens down there. We've grown giant pumpkins. There's a gentleman who grows pumpkins down there and grows them really super heavy and mineral. He's part of the giant pumpkin community. So, depending on where you're at, a wet location might be a good spot to grow, but like in Michigan here, where we have lots of wetlands, stagnant wetlands and ponds, typically next to those, it's not good. It's full of disease. You want to be up on a hill. Like I'm growing here, I found this beautiful spot. I'm amending my soil. We're going to use the whiz here. This is sulfur. I got my sulfur pellets. Yellowstone, Montana. And we're going to scatter the sulfur, which I've already done, tilled it in. It's ready to go. This sulfur takes like 90 days minimum to break down, 6 months. So we've got it in the soil. We're amended for next year. So I really expect a great crop this year. Now, some people will put in a cover crop. They'll throw down rye cover crop. I'm not going to do that because I believe there's enough organic matter in this soil that I don't want to throw down any rye. I don't want to have all the roots. As you know, I had a nitrogen bomb this year in my garden from this 75-year-old lawn being tilled in. So we're not going to do that again. But I want to make this series of videos. Bubba, what went wrong with my grow? So I want people to share your comments, share your problems, share your issues in this series we're going to do. And I'm going to try to keep the videos down, not real long, not over 8 minutes if possible. So that, I know everybody's in a hurry, everybody's got a lot to do. So comment, where do you live? Is it better on a hill? Is it better down low? I know at E-Rise, I grew at E-Rise. He's down next to the wetlands. We tested the soil, terrible disease. I grew at the farm out in Holland Farm, and terrible disease. Even the vegetables in a community garden would not make it to season's end. So you may have that problem if you're growing vegetables and you can't get beautiful vegetables, you can't get a nice yield, your stuff's rotting before it gets to the finish line, you may have soil disease. And there's lots of different ways you can handle that. There's the chemical way, like ban rot. You can buy a product called ban rot, which would gas the soil. It'll kill stuff like Pythium, Fusarium. However, some people don't want to touch chemicals. We're all getting real scared with all the cancer. Stay away from the chemicals. There's other methods you can use. Planting mustard or turnips as a cover crop, turning that over. If you want to test your soil, you go to Western Labs, test your soil for about $150. If your soil is super bad and you want to stay organic, you may want to relocate your garden. Get out of the low spot, get up on a hill, maybe find a different property. Maybe it's time to say, hey to your honey, hey honey, I want to grow a big pumpkin, we got to move. You'll find out how strong your marriage really is, all right? So let me know how that works out, comments below. Anyway, but I want to get going this winter to find out why these guys, I just had a guy, Bill Hummel, over on the west side of the state, came to me and said, hey man, I've had enough. I can't get past 12 or 1,300 pounds. What's going on? He did test his soil, and he did come back. He's high in Pythium. All right. Now, some of these words I won't say exactly right because I'm not a college scholar. All right. But there's lots of different diseases, Fusarium, the Pythium. Some of them I can't even say. But I could show you on a disease report. On the next video, I'll break out the disease report, part 3, and we'll show that. I don't want to get these videos too long-winded. There's also the fact that if you're growing blind, if you've never done a soil test, just a basic nutrient soil test, then you're growing blind. And I highly recommend you get a soil test, because you might be bankrupt in boron, calcium, who knows what. And if you don't have a good balance in there, that's why your garden's not doing well. But we're talking about soil-borne diseases. All your other types of diseases, like the insect spread, those are like your bacterial wilt that's spread by the cucumber beetle, your mosaic virus, cucumber beetle. Those are insect related. We're talking soil-borne diseases that may be in your soil. Another thing you can do if you're organic, you don't want to deal with this, is eliminate all the weeds around your garden. The weeds are a breeding grounds for the insects. Destroy the weeds, burn the weeds, get rid of the weeds. You reduce the insect population. You reduce your disease pressure on your patch. All right? So any questions, post them below. I'm not going to get too far going here. I want to show you what I've done to my soil. Let's show you that right now. Okay, as you know from previous videos, we picked up all the vines and we drug them down to the bottom of the hill there in the compost pile. I ran the rototiller across here, and I used the whizzer, and I scattered sulfur. My sulfur is really low. It takes time to break down. So here's the whiz. Bubba loves taking a whiz in the garden. So here we go. Here's how you do it, and you don't have to go to jail. All right, here's a little additional. They work pretty good for the fertilizers. It's best, Moby Mike even mentioned on his channel, to spread them uniformly, evenly, so you don't create hot spots. So there it is, a little simple whiz to it. Doesn't have to be real complicated. You get a nice uniform application throughout the soil. Like I said, it's November 12th in Michigan. The low ground's down there. I wouldn't want my garden down there. I'm up here on the hill. And let me give you a better camera angle of what kind of hill this is. Now down at the bottom of the hill. All right, and this is where some people might think, well, I'll put my garden down here and pump out of the swamp. No, don't do that. And here's the hill. There's the depth of the hill. It's a pretty steep hill. All right, so we are way highly elevated. I'm gonna say that's gotta be 8 feet, at least 8 feet rise, maybe more. Actually, it's probably more like 15. It's quite a bit of rise. Anyways, there you go, to give you an idea what growing on a hill means. Do it for today, but before you all go, I want to invite you to Rumble. I have started a platform page on Rumble. Keep it a secret, but go tell a friend. And Bubba Presley, search for me on Rumble. If you haven't started a Rumble account, please do. Hey, send me an email, send me a text message. You got my phone number, and I'll send you a registration link. If you want to help support my channel, I'll refer you to the Rumble platform. And if you're thinking about starting a channel, hey, the pay threshold is $50. Once you earn $50, they send you $50. I think that's monthly, on a monthly basis. But hey, so join me on Rumble. Leave your comments and join us. All right, man. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate you being here today. The man behind the pumpkin I want to show you today is some giant pumpkins. You can buy your seeds. How to grow a giant pumpkin. If beginners is what we're all about. So please join us, as I'm going to show you. We're going to take the seeds out of these giants and we're going to sell them on my website, worldwidegiantgrowers.com, because after all, I am the man behind the pumpkin, Bubba. So please join us. We have almost 1,000 videos to date. Bubba's Home Fix-It tips, growing giant pumpkins, watermelons, tomatoes, and more. So join us. Please join us. Keep it a secret, but go tell a friend. Bubba's sharing videos around the world. Woo-hoo!